Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and today we're going to be taking a look at all the new models that Games Workshop has just revealed for the launch box for Age of Sigmar 4.0. And I'm particularly interested in seeing what the new Skaven models look like. I haven't seen any of this because it was all revealed during the middle of the night where I live. So I chose actually to not stay awake all night to see some plastic models revealed. I was kind of tempted, but in the end, I decided it was better not to. So now it's the early morning. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm very excited as well. So let's see what they have for us. So it says here, Skaventide, so that's the name of the box, I suppose, is the jam-packed launch box for the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Okay, so here we have the entire box. Okay, so right off, I actually think the box art on this one looks really, really nice. And I know, the box art, it's not really important, you don't need it for anything, but I just, it sets the tone somehow, and that looks really cool. So there is, it looks like there are definitely lots of models here, so yeah, awesome. We'll just skip the video and go straight to the box. The Skaventide is sweeping across the mortal realms, and the faithful Stormcast Eternals of the Hallowed Knights are first into the fray. This gigantic box is the biggest Warhammer Age of Sigmar launch set yet, and it's packed to the brim with books and miniatures. Okay, yeah, so it's definitely a lot of miniatures, and there's some terrain as well, and books and cards and stuff, so that's interesting. Okay, so it says here, what's in the box? 24 Stormcast Eternals miniatures, 50 Skaven, so yeah, twice the number of Skaven compared to Stormcast, but that makes sense because obviously Skaven are gonna be a lot more of a hardy army, whereas the Stormcast is a little bit more elite. 4 terrain features, 2 range rulers, Warhammer Age of Sigmar core book, Spearhead Fire and Jade book, double-sided game board, Spearhead card deck, General's Handbook cards. Okay. So it's a little bit different than the Dominion box because that had the core book as far as I remember, and perhaps some dice or whatever. And then it had the models, but it didn't have any terrain, and it didn't have any cards for like the general handbook. And of course, it did not have a Spearhead book because I don't think the Spearhead game mode was out at that time. So I think it's a bigger box, just from the look of it. It says here the box is divided into two sides coming in at 1200 points. So that's pretty nice, 1200 points. Then you are more than halfway there to a 2000 points army. And of course you can also play Age of Sigmar in smaller, at smaller scales than 2000 points. There are 24 Stormcast Eternals, reforged warriors and grizzled veterans of the... There are 24 Stormcast Eternals, reforged warriors, and grizzled veterans of 1,000 conflicts, and 50 Skaven, swarming horrors who fight with overwhelming numbers, foul magics, and madcap technology. I'm particularly interested in the madcap technology. I think it sounds so much fun. I really love my orcs for Warhammer 40k, and one of the cool things about them is that they're just so silly, and they from time to time run the risk of just blowing themselves up more than the enemy, and if that is also the case with the Skaven, I'm going to be really happy about that. There's just something so fun and ridiculous about doing something that, so now it's supposed to be really, really cool, and then you just blow yourself up. That's just fun to me. The Stormcast Eternals, created by Sigmar himself to reclaim the mortal realms from the forces of chaos, each Stormcast Eternal is a heroic soul snatched from the god of death and reforged into an immortal warrior upon the anvil of apotheosis. Sigmar's lie was that this immortality would not have consequences. It is as much a curse as a boon, for each fresh death and reforging hammers out more flaws. It also whittles away a little more of their soul. The Skaven threat is so dire, however, that Sigmar has been forced to throw open the ruination chamber and press back into service those warriors on the brink of losing themselves completely. All are willing to fight, as the hour is simply too dire. Okay, so we're supposed to feel really bad for the Stormcast because they are gonna die and be reforged, and in the end, it sounds like they are little more than fighting automatons somehow. It doesn't sound like a very nice thing to do. Then we have a Lord Vigilant on a Gryffstalker. So this is a new model. I don't think we've seen this one before. So it's quite similar to the I can't remember the name of all the Stormcast Eternals models because so far a lot of them have been quite similar to me. But there was this box before the Dominion box. There was this box with the Stormcast and Nighthaunt, and they had a hero on a sort of griffin thing, and it reminds me a lot of that. Except this one is way cooler and much more. It has a much more original look to it. I think because the older one was just. I mean, it was a Stormcast on a griffin, and it looked cool, it was fun, and it looked heroic. But this is a much more original take on a griffin, I think, where you have some horns, and it looks like it has a beak. I would like to see the head from a different angle because I suppose that it's a beak that it's got here, and it is not just sticking out a grey tongue from a weirdly shaped head, but it's actually a little bit difficult to see. But then you have the feathers and a little bit of something that... Is that also feathers up here on the neck? I'm not quite sure. I think it is. And then you have like bare legs that looks like you would see perhaps on a vulture or something, or like your chicken legs really. But it's just a more original take, I think. I think this is... I much prefer this one. I remember that the old hero from the Stormcast versus Nighthaunt box, if you looked underneath the griffin, it had like a whole big place on its chest where it was just like flat plastic with no sculpting or anything. I hope this is a little bit better, so it's not just so the entire model is actually sculpted and not just left as bare plastic. I think this looks really, really nice. And I also think that you'll have a lot of opportunity for painting this in all sorts of cool and fun ways. Yeah. This is going to be a really fun painting project because it has so many different textures on it. You have the armor, you have the cloth, you have the feathers, you have the legs and the tail, you have, of course, the armor on the Stormcast himself. I think this is going to be a really fun painting project. It's also slightly busy, so it could probably end up looking a little bit messy depending on how you paint it, but I mean, it still could be a really fun challenge. I definitely like this one. I would love to paint that. Then we have the Lord Terminus. There is one release from the Curse of Immortality, the Oblivion offered by the Lord Terminus. In this hour of need, these warriors will range the battlefield and take Skaven heads with their mighty blade Terminus. Okay, so he looks more or less like an executioner, and then he's got some sort of dude in the back with the like incense or whatever it is, like the balls of fire hanging down. I think he's very much in danger of burning his rope up, holding it like that. But perhaps it's magical fire, or perhaps he just has a nice fireproof garment on. You never know. I think it's a really nice stance, this one. The composition of this model, he just looks really relentless. He's just standing there, and he's got this big giant axe, and he's just staring right at you. I think it's quite an imposing model, definitely. Then we have the Lord Veritant. I don't know what it is with the names from these Stormcast models. Yeah, I don't know why. It all sounds so similar to me, but they're all Lord one thing or the other, and then they have some Latin sounding ending to it, like Vigilant, Lord Terminus, Lord Veritant. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with it. It just, I just have a hard time keeping them separate for some reason. So we have the Lord Veritant, and it says here, with a hatred of chaos that eclipses all else, the Lord Veritant is an expert in excising corruption from the mortal realms. Aided by their Griff Crow companions. Griff Crow, that's a new term, I like that. They hunt down powerful wizards and heretical priests. Okay, so this is basically a Sisters of Battle just for Age of Sigmar, right? I would also love to see this Griff Crow from a different angle, because straight ahead, the head looks a little bit weird. But I think the idea of a Griff Crow sounds quite fun. Yeah. I like. I mean, the Lord Veritant. She looks fine. I would be interested to know why she's blindfolded. If it's got something to do, like she has, she's like magically sensing where corruption is, and so she can seek it out without having to use like her ordinary, down to earth sight, but can use a magical sight instead. She looks pretty terrifying. She's got a lot of flames to burn the heretics with, I guess. Um, I don't. I think the idea of the Griff Crow is really fun. I'm not sure. I think it matches the look of the Stormcast model that well, because the Stormcast model looks so. Well, she looks imposing, but she also looks like she has everything really well put together. The cloth is nice and whole. The armor is shining. She's got a big blade. She's got, yeah, it all just looks so sleek, and so well maintained. And then the fur slash feathers on the Griff Crow, it just looks a lot more messy and like it's a wet dog or something. I'm not sure. I think those two match, but I mean that could also, of course, just be the intention that you have some contrast there, which is fine and fun. I don't think they match really well. If there had just been a lot of models on the table and someone had handed me the Griff Crow and said, "So which model do you think this would go with?" I don't think I would have chosen this one. But who am I to tell what works and what doesn't? It's just a little bit fun to me. Then we have the Knight Questor. Again, so many knights and lords and... Okay. It's probably just me. Unburdened by the pressures of command, a Knight Questor is an errant hero tasked by Sigmar to perform a significant duty, be that retrieving a lost heirloom or slaying an enemy warlord. Whatever the task, few can stand between them and their ultimate goal. So they're just like knights going off on their own and doing their own heroic thing. That's sure. This model doesn't really speak to me somehow. I think... I mean, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's well sculpted and everything. It's just slightly boring. But I also have to admit that that is also the case for me with a lot of the Stormcast things, especially the earlier Stormcast. I don't think they are particularly interesting. I don't really know why, because they are well made and fun with all the armor and cloth and different opportunities for painting and stuff. There's just something about the range that is not that has never really made it my favorite. And yeah, I think some of the other models here, particularly this guy here, the Lord Vigilant, I think that is genuinely a really cool and fun model. And I think these two other ones are awesome as well. But this one is just a little bit boring to me. Oh well, to each their own, I guess. Then we have the Reclusions, which we have already seen before. It says here, with only a handful of reforgings left before they lose themselves entirely, Reclusions are deployed only in the most desperate of times. Unwavering and unnervingly quiet, they stride forward as sorceries and corruption wash over them. Such foul energies fail to find purchase on their eroded souls. They are accompanied by Memorians, mortal companions who preserve their deeds and memories. So, yeah, they have to be a little bit like children, being followed around by kindergarten teachers or whatever. I think that's nice, having someone who knows who they are. They have so little memory of who they are and perhaps what they are even doing, that you have people to sort of guide them along. I don't think it's entirely ethical to send people with that amount of cognitive problems into battle. But on the other hand, I'm not sure that ethics are sort of at the top of the list of priorities for Sigmar when these Skaven come to call. So then we have the prosecutors, and we've seen those before as well. With the, I think they have some really cool wings. I think these look fun. The only thing is, of course, I mean, they are jumping off a piece of stone. And that's the thing, I think, always with flying models. You have to find a way of making it look like they're flying, and there you can have the flying stance, and you can have them jump off stuff. And I do prefer them jumping off stuff to the flying stance, but it always just looks not entirely convincing, I think. But they are cool, and I think you'll have a lot of opportunities to do fun stuff with the wings. And then lastly, for the Stormcast, we have the Liberators, and we've seen those before, and they're of course a reworking of the original Liberators that we saw. So yeah, just the standard Stormcast troops. I think these look much better than the original Liberators for sure. But again, it's just not overall a faction that I can get really hyped about. I think they're fine. I think they fulfill a role in the narrative and all sorts of things. I just I don't know. It's just not exactly my jam, but I do like the guy on the Griff. That was fun. Then we get to the Skaven, which I think is right up my alley. I think the Skaven are fun. So it says here, the Skaven are treacherous rat men, congenitally willing to stab even their closest ally in the back if it would bring them one claw closer to power. Nevertheless, after an audacious series of cunning rituals, the Skaven have managed to crash the nightmarish subdimension of Blight City into the mortal realms, and are now pouring forth in never-before-seen numbers as the great horned rat takes his rightful place among the Chaos Pantheon. Awesome. So here we have a Claw Lord on Norbeast. So I guess that is sort of the Skaven side of the box equivalent to the Stormcast on the Griff Hound thing. I would be interested in seeing how big this is, because the Skaven are like tiny. So is this just also tiny, or is it a little bit bigger? I think this looks really fun. It has the style of sculpting here reminds me a lot of the Cruel Boys, if that makes sense. It's very gnarly and very a little bit more dark, and not as cartoony as you have seen earlier, which I think looks great. But I prefer the cartoony look a little bit, but I think that's just me, because I think this looks awesome. It's really well made. Definitely, but I don't mind a little bit of silliness in my wargaming. But yeah, it reminds me a lot of the style for the Cruel Boys, where they are a little bit, they look a little bit like they're a little bit lean, a little bit slimmer, like the beast rat thing the Claw Lord is riding, the Norbeast. There is something about it that looks a little bit emaciated, which makes it look more sickly and just wrong somehow. And I think that is a really cool design choice. I prefer, bigger beasts. But I think it looks really fun. And I would definitely love to paint it. Yeah, beautiful sculpt, I think. Absolutely. It says here, the Clawlords of Clan Verminus are born survivors with a zeal for power, yet only the most accomplished or conniving can pull the strings needed to acquire a twisted Norbeast from the clan's molder, as well as a lethal rattling pistol forged by the clan's scryer. Yeah. Then we have a Grazier. Very cool. Graziers are natural-born mages and Verminus prophets who can magic... I like that. Verminus prophets. We don't have enough Verminus prophets in, real life religions and stuff. We need more of those. That sounds terrible and fun. So anyways, the Graziers are natural-born mages and Verminus prophets who can magically teleport around the battlefield and manifest roiling storms of warp lightning, all while wolfing down shards of warpstone to further enhance their arcane prowess. Sounds great. Sounds awesome. Like, teleporting is always cool, and if you can teleport also units around, that would make this really powerful, because all all sorts of movement shenanigans are just really great. I mean, I haven't played 4th edition, obviously, so I wouldn't know, but I think the ability to teleport will come in real handy. And look at all the tiny little rats at the foot of the base. Oh. Then we have a Warlock Engineer. We have seen that one before. I like it though. Like the spy glass he's holding up, that's broken, but apparently works really well anyway. I think that's a little bit more silly, and I really like that. I think it looks cool. Ooh, look at this. Ooh, look at this. Rattling Warp Blaster. Yes. Yeah. This is just really... It looks like something the orcs would also have a really good time playing around with. This is fun. Yeah, absolutely. The Skaven penchant for volatile artillery is exemplified by the Rattling Warp Blaster, a terrifying rotary cannon that unleashes torrents of warpstone-infused munitions capable of mowing down swaths of infantry. This is ridiculous. It looks like I don't know. This looks like a weapon from some sort of comic book, right? And I don't think it takes anything away from sort of the horror of the idea of swarms of rats coming towards you, firing guns like these at you. But it just adds a certain level of humor, and I don't know the rules for this model, of course, but I think it would be quite conceivable that they can also blow themselves up, because this looks terrifying, and it looks like something they have just put together out of scraps, and then they're hoping for the best, and if it works, they can completely devastate the enemy, and if it doesn't work, it'll just blow up in their faces. I don't know. I think it looks like that. Would be fun. Very fun. Then we have some rat ogres, which is really cool, because they definitely they were a little bit old, the former kit, and these look so much better. When I say they look better, I mean these models are awful, they look terrible. They look like they're like mutated and horrible. Look at the eye on this one over here on the left. It looks like it's just like a big giant eyeball that is almost coming out of the skull. They look, and lots of boils, so they're like giant mutated rats infested with Nurgle. So they look horrible, but I think they're really cool. Also, the whole thing where they have like skin with fur because they're rats, but then the fur peels away to reveal something that looks much more like human skin underneath. That just looks sickly and gross. Like they are, like they're wearing like the skin of a dead rat or something. The more I look at them, the more horrible they look. In a cool way. But cool. It says here, rat ogres are rabid war mutants created by the twisted minds of the clan's molder. Their muscle bulk is further enhanced by exposure to warpstone, and specimens that display a flicker of intellect are rewarded by having volatile clan Skyra weaponry grafted to their limbs. Awesome. Oh, congratulations. You can actually think a semi-independent thought. Here you go, we'll chop off one of your limbs and attach something horrible and metallic to it. Congratulations. Best day ever. Sounds really, really bad. I don't think I want to join the Skaven. No, but I don't want to join the Stormcasts either, so I don't know. Then we have some Warblock Jessails, and we have seen these before as well. And it says here, Skaven are cowardly creatures who favor ranged combat because it keeps them far from the thick of combat. Warblock Jessails are extremely effective at helping them keep their distance, all while giving them glory of sniping enemy generals. I mean, these are fine, I guess. They are fine, but I mean, compared to these and compared to this, these are not that exciting. I think they're, completely fine, and not everything in an army can be like the huge centerpiece things. So of course, it's just I mean, compared to these. And then we have some clan rats. Clan rats are the disposable dregs of the clan's verminous, pressed into service with rusty blades and cheaply made shields. What they lack in skill and courage, they make up for in numbers and the overwhelming, desperate desire to claw their way further up the pile. So just lots and lots of clan rats. How many? It's gonna be like 30 clan. Yeah, I guess 30 clan rats in the box. Yeah, that's something else. Yeah. Painting 30 clan rats, but they look cool, and I know we have seen them before. But I think they look really nice, and it's nice that the clan rats did get an update because they were also getting on a little bit. Then we get to see what else is in the box. These forces are the core of two fantastic armies, and both sides of the box can be fashioned into spearhead forces: the Vigilant Brotherhood and the Northeast Claw Pack. The box contains all the terrain, card decks, and double-sided boards you need to play fast 10 games of Spearhead. You get the 144-page hardback Spearhead Fire and Jade book, which contains the rules for 25 separate Spearhead boxes, the Spearhead Battle Pack, and the core rules all in one neat package. The terrain sprue even comes with 3-inch and 6-inch range rulers you can snap together, so all you need to get going is a handful of 6-sided dice. Okay. So you get like two rule books, one for playing Spearhead and one for playing the sort of core Age of Sigmar game. And you get the terrain which matches the Spearhead, and then some cards and stuff. Okay. And then it says here, on top of all that, there is the 272-page Warhammer Age of Sigmar core book. This weighty grimoire contains masses of lore and background information about the mortal realms and their inhabitants, alongside reams of gorgeous art and atmospheric photography of miniatures painted by the Heavy Metal team. It includes the core rules, the battle packs for match play, First Blood, and Path to Glory Ascension, a rules glossary, a Citadel terrain list, and copyable Path to Glory and army rosters. So that's the core book. Looks great. And the goodies don't stop there. For match play aficionados, there is a 17-card General's Handbook deck, which provides the season rules and battle plan cards for the General's Handbook season 24-25, so you can start honing your tournament skills from minute 0. That's nice. Okay, so that's the box. I think it looks great with all the models, and I think it makes a lot of sense to have the core book for Age of Sigmar in it as well, and the cards for like the General's Handbook cards. I'm a little bit more hesitant about the terrain and the the terrain and the mat that you can play on. I don't think it's a mat, like some kind of cardboard. And then the rules for the Spearhead. On one hand, I think, I mean, if you're just getting into Age of Sigmar and you're thinking, okay, I would like to be able to play also smaller versions of the game and the Spearhead could be fun, then obviously this is awesome, and then you get the terrain and you're all set and ready to go, so that's awesome. On the other hand, if you're not interested in the Spearhead, perhaps it just, makes it just that much more pricey to get the box. I guess you can always sell the book, but I don't really know how popular Spearhead is gonna be, if this is something that a lot of people have been interested in. So far, I have the feeling that the smaller versions of the big battle games, 40k and Age of Sigmar, so not Kill Team or Warcry, but like smaller versions are not as popular and not as much played, but that might just be my local area. So I don't know how much I would have a need for the Spearhead. Also, I guess the Spearhead game is really heavily focused on the boxes, so you play the faction that comes in a particular box, I think I haven't played it. So that would make it a little bit difficult to play. If you have like 2,000 points army, but you don't have like the exact models that come in the spearhead box, do you need to go out and get more models even though you already have a big army? I'm not quite sure. I think it sounds like a really interesting box, and I am definitely gonna get it because the Skaven, and also I want to paint some of these Stormcast as well. And then I think I would try the spearhead because, I mean, why not if it's already in the box, and maybe it's really fun. So far, I haven't really been completely head over heels for any of these smaller versions of Warhammer games, but this just might be a really nice way of playing. So I'll definitely give it a shot. It's a big box. It has a lot of content, but it is also a little bit expensive because they are doing a giveaway in the newsletter, and it says that you can here you can win it, and it says that the value of the content is £160. So I guess that'll be the price of the box. So £160 is a little bit pricey. It's more pricey than I think the Dominion box was, but there is also more content here. So yeah, I don't think this is a box for everyone. Obviously, if you're not interested in either Stormcast or Skaven, then it's completely irrelevant. But also, it might be just a little bit too pricey, especially if you don't want the terrain, the cardboards, and like the battle mat, whatever, or the spearhead book. Perhaps it's not as interesting, but on the other hand, you can probably sell it. So yeah, that was what they showed off. I think this looks like a really cool and really fun box. A little bit too pricey, but I don't think they're ever going to be releasing anything where we're like, that is actually a little bit too inexpensive. You're always gonna think it would be nice if it was a little bit cheaper, but yeah. I think the my definite favorite of this box is this one here. This really silly contraption that looks like it's just gonna blow up in your face. I think that looks really fun. So yeah, that was what we saw today, and I would of course like to know what you think of this box. Do you think it's interesting? What do you think of the price? Are there any of the models that you're particularly hyped about, or is this is it something you're gonna get, or is it something you're just gonna, well, not really bother with because you think it's too expensive, or it's just you're not really that interested in the models? Let me know in the comments, and we can have a talk about that. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!